Hey, everybody. Captain Ron here. We're in progress, it says. Well, that's a good thing. Not only are we in progress, but Happy New Year to everybody. And this starts our 6th year of doing Fearless Flight Live. So I don't know, we pretty much have made once a week. So we've at least got a couple hundred under our belt and maybe even more. God, it's hard to believe that we've talked that much, but anyway, we have. And the other thing that we're celebrating is today, almost on command, we got our 900th person in Fearless Flight Live, Fearless Flight Birds of a Feather. So, you know how I usually start the week here with talking about the fact that we have. I can't multitask. Let me put the slide up here.
Well, I'm just going to say that we're going to be reaching out to Amber Corthels. And Amber, you, whether you knew that or not, but you are actually
You're the big winner.
Yeah, of a coaching session with Captain Ron. So that's really exciting. And in case you're actually watching this live with us, make sure you put your information in chat so that we can actually connect with you.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about that. So here we are, and also, you know, this is Fearless Flight Live. We do it every week, and it is for you all, and it's for people who are afraid to fly, people who know somebody who's afraid to fly, and for people who, you know, just like to hang around and talk about airplanes. And so the important thing about the show, we're going to emphasize that we're going to make a little bit of a transition tonight, is we wanted to be more engaging with you all. And in the past, it's a little technically limited right now. And I know we'll be moving towards a different format down the road where we can get the feed that I'm looking at, where I can actually look at the YouTube page. I'm going to try it tonight and then see your comments along the side, because I want to be able to do that. And we're going to try to monitor your comments live tonight, and that's going to be the topic. So you guys are going to be the ones doing all the talking, hopefully, even if it's just texting. And so we'll move on to the second slide. I should have had this up there. This is what we hit member number 900 today. Again, we want to welcome her and hope to hear from her, and because we're going to do something special for that. And this is our Fearless Flight Birds of a Feather group. It's a private group. It's for people who want to talk about their experiences, both overcoming their fear and coming on board and maybe, you know, confronting it for the first time in their life. And this is the way we're going to run the show tonight. You ask a question or you leave a comment, and we're going to lead into a couple things about aviation updates. But that's where we're going to spend the bulk of our time, and we're going to talk about the things that you want to talk about and find of interest. We'll do a poll question here in just a minute. Fearless Flight Club, we call that the Fearless Flight Club, or for Lunch Bunch, or whatever you want to call it. That is the Wendy Moy's flight that she's going to do on the 15th of this month. And I went over, let me do the poll question, and then I'll put the information on Wendy's flight up there again. So this is what I was just curious. There's a lot of stuff in the news, you know, so I said, should you have to provide proof of vaccination to fly? So maybe we'll get some comments on that. I'd love to see what the answers are on this, and see if there's any trends. So we'll be looking to talk about that and whatever you all find of interest there. And then I think I must have to go to the next one. So talk amongst yourselves there for just a second. Let me pull up the second set of slides. I think I left the Wendy slides in there, and we might as well transition right into those. Okay, so that's the poll question. So if you have leave a comment or your opinion in there. This is the flight that Wendy's put together January 15th. I think she's got about 6 people or so. I saw an email that she sent me yesterday, I believe. And she's going to fly from Long Beach to Phoenix and back to Long Beach on the 15th of January. And I'm going to meet everybody. That's a Saturday. I'm going to meet everybody out at the airport, and we'll have a little mini celebration there. Southwest Airlines is the airline of choice. And this is the current fare. I went over about an hour ago and I priced it. The fares are staying relatively low. They're only $109 and $84, which is $30 total over the low fare that came up there. And so any of you that are contemplating that, please seriously think about it if you're in the LA area, because Wendy turns out to be a pretty good mentor there for everybody. We want to talk briefly about this Clear for Takeoff 301 or 201 and 301 classes. They are definitely in the works. And we're going on the road, as we mentioned. The 201 online webinar, these are the online dates. So the first date for the webinar will be February 10th. And then every week, that's a Thursday, there'll be a Thursday evening. And so the 10th, the 17th, the 24th, and the 3rd. And then following those, what we'll do is we will have been preparing people in the Phoenix area, specifically, the Los Angeles area specifically. Let me go to the next slide. And the Boston area specifically. And so these are the flights in the order that we're planning right now. Don't purchase your ticket yet. By next week, I will have purchased mine, and we'll send that out. We're still working on the launch sequence for the internet so that everybody can easily opt into that if you're interested in that. But we definitely want to keep this out there so that anybody who has an interest. So we're going to fly on March 5th from Phoenix to Burbank and back. Burbank is one of my favorite places locally to fly in the Southern California area because they treat us really well over there. On March 12th, we're going to go from Boston to Baltimore, which will be a really nice flight. And the fares are not too bad. I was expecting a little bit higher flight. It's a little bit longer flight, but they look good. And these are I think I've got the other fares there. Yeah, so this is the Boston to BWI flight. You can see it's 104 one way and 115 back as of today. And I'll mention this later on, but one of the things you want to do, particularly with Southwest, but any airline, if you buy your ticket early to get the lowest possible fare, even though you might have gotten the lowest fare, always check back and watch, because I would say in the last year I've had 4 tickets that I purchased. I went in there and the price dropped a little bit, and when you go in there, they'll give you credit for that. And so you want to take advantage of all that. And so this is the Boston to Baltimore flight, BWI. And then the last one will be on March 19th. Again, for people in the LA area, we're going to go back to Burbank, but only we're going to fly from Burbank to Sacramento and back, kind of replicate the flight that we had a couple of months ago. So that's the profiles for all the good stuff coming up there. And I'll still say this: we'll be looking to get a questionnaire out to you all to give you the information, even as we're developing the website pages. So
we got some insights on the poll question, and
okay.
Jim has a really good point, and I'm gonna say this from sitting north of the States here in Canada, where we have much stricter rules, and Jim is saying the airlines are a business. So if that business is choosing to go with that, then that is their prerogative. But if it's mandated by the government, then it's one of those things that gets very quickly politicized and kind of like, taken potentially in the wrong direction, and maybe not so much in the spirit of the idea of keeping everybody safe. So I think that's a really good angle to take, because we here in Canada, right now you can't even get on a plane without being double vaccinated. So
you have to. Do you have vaccine cards like we do, Dieter?
Yeah, you have them on the phone. They're like a QR code, And
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure you can get it on the phone. I have the little card that I actually
cards.
got. Yeah, when I went through
as of January 4th,
yeah.
it's got to be on your phone, or you have to have some other means of being able to provide an exemption, which I think is really hard to get because most people have smartphones these days, and
the
QR codes is the quickest way for checking that.
Michelle Villa says, I think eventually it might happen. So that's her take on.
Yeah, and we're not saying that we're for or against that. We're just,
Right.
I'm just curious about that. I mean, we all have opinions, but we're not going to tell them to you. So anyway, but it is always better when people feel like they have a choice in things. I know when I used to do coaching with pilots who were not that popular to fly with, even that, it's a hard thing to get them to make any changes if they feel forced into it, and because we don't like that as human beings there. So, but what you're saying is Canada does do that right now, and I know my experiences with you couldn't get on the cruise ship without testing negative, or you had to show your vaccine cards. Going to Hawaii, you can't get in the state without having proving the same thing. You have to show your vaccination proof and a recent negative test and all that. So in essence, you could fly to Hawaii and stay on the airplane and turn around and come back. But essentially, when it comes to Hawaii, you have to have it to get on the airplane, right? I mean, because the airlines won't let you on if you don't have that material. And I've been to Hawaii a couple of times since COVID, and I remember the last time was much more efficient. American Airlines, and I was non-rebbing going as a former employee. And it was a little confusing though, because I went all the way to one gate over there, and they said, "Oh, you got to go back over here." So I went back over there and was able to go through. But they had a special place for anybody going to anywhere that day on the airline that required certification, and whether it was Hawaii or whatever. But you went through there, and once you got that, then it was much easier. It was just like a regular boarding when you got to the airport. Then
yeah, they're still doing that. You get a little wristband. At least that's what they were doing.
Yes. Yep. That's what we got. We got a wristband.
Documentation. They put a little wristband on you.
Yeah. And same way, and that's what we got when we got to Hawaii before. But I think the last time, then I think it may have been even, I don't want to say funded, but supplied by Hawaii, by the Hawaiian government, even though it was coming out of Phoenix, or I don't remember that, but I'll pay attention next time I go. So anyway,
they're pretty serious. They're pretty serious, and for good reason. They can't handle people importing that and blowing out their healthcare system there, because they have a limited number of islands that are inhabited with healthcare systems. And I remember the news, the funny news of the day, like Dieter will tell us about an Austrian one later, but this gal couldn't resist the $59 fares that Southwest were promoting to Hawaii. So she quickly grabbed one of those, and unfortunately did not have vaccination stuff done. No problem. She made up her own vaccination card and took off. And when they landed, they figured out that it was, in fact, a counterfeit card, because she'd spelled Moderna wrong. She had an extra N in there, and her vaccination history was apparently in a city which she did not live, which prompted the authorities to check that out and find that it was false. And rather than put her on the airplane and send her home for not being able to pass go, they threw her in the Gray Bar Hotel in town for a few days before they sent her back. She got thrown in jail.
Yeah, I lived in Honolulu for 12 and a half years. And my ex is a physician, so I'm pretty up on exactly how extensive the medical facilities are on Oahu, which is the most populous island. And they as you all have said, they're limited. They really, and then the neighbor islands, the hospital facilities are even more, they're even smaller. They're even more restricted as far as the number of beds. So as Eric said, they simply cannot afford to have lots of tourists come in and then be the super spreaders when they get to the islands, because it will rapidly overwhelm the ability for the Hawaiians to be able to treat everyone.
On a personal note, I had somebody that one of our followers and stuff that I've been communicating with, and she and her husband got COVID and they have it right now. So I'll just extend a well wish to them. They had not been vaccinated and they're doing okay. But anyway, so wish you all the
Jim
best.
is letting us know that he wants.
Yeah.
So it's this whole attention to detail thing. You know, I mean, on the one hand, you gotta somehow, I guess, admire on some small level the industriousness of making up your own vaccine pass. But then the level of detail, and Jim is just mentioning that he caught somebody, a student once, because they spelled optometrist wrong.
And that's that that's funny, and B, the kid had two chances. He probably could have come up with optometrist or ophthalmologist. Either one, if he could have spelled either one of them, and he got it wrong.
I do wanna just quick Sue Hopkins is asking. She wants to make sure that she is on the list for the Boston flights, and Sue, I know for a fact we got you on the list, so we do have your email, and once we have the page up where Sue already, maybe you can put that in the chat. Did you do one of the online 201 classes? If not, then we'll have the registration page up shortly for the one starting in February. So, so you're good.
Were you asking me to put something up, Dieter?
No, we said last week that we're still working on that registration page for
Yeah,
the February class.
Yeah.
And then Sue just wanted to make sure that she is going to be informed about the Boston flight because she's in the Boston area.
Susan and Sue, if we miss you, we will quit, because you are in large part the reason why Boston is first on the list here. And that's no reflection on anybody else that I love in another big city out there. But anyway, so we would have failed miserably if we do not have the two of you in that class. So, okay. Yeah, I was talking to the group here beforehand. I was trying to pull up so I could put the comments live on the screen. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. So I'm just going to leave that the way it is. And you guys can keep monitoring them. So,
okay. So I'm also going to answer Sandra's question from YouTube. Sandra is asking if we can post the page on how to sign up for the 201 class, and we will do that. And Sandra, we also, if you are not yet on our mailing list, just send an email to captainron@fearlessflight.com. But next week, when we'll go live next Tuesday, we'll have that page up, and so you can register then. So make sure you tune in next week, or email us, and we'll send you the link personally.
You want me to put that page up that I used to have that had the questionnaire on it? We're kind of talking shop here, Dieter, but we're going to have a website, a web page. Do we want to run the questionnaire when we get that questionnaire out to at least get people an idea and so we get their interest even before we get it up on the web? Do you think?
Yeah, we can put that questionnaire. If I can find it even on the show, I'll get in and maybe just post that.
I've got it. Yeah, I can put it up here on the screen here, I believe. I haven't spoken out of turn. Okay, I can go to the last. Play some traveling music, talk amongst yourselves. Yeah. And I will find my.
Peter, tell that funny unruly passenger story.
Yeah. So while Ron is looking for that questionnaire, so I just earlier today, popped up in my news as a flight from Frankfurt to Toronto, and there happened to be a person that became very unruly and had the distinctive bad luck of sitting, it's a wide body airplane, and sitting right next to two off-duty police officers who then proceeded to restrain and keep that unruly passenger, safe, I guess you could say, safe from themselves and others for the next 4 hours. So, gosh,
that's like I said, that's a flight attendant's dream. Oh my God. We have someone who's acting out, and there's a couple police officers there on board. We can go back up to the galley and have a Diet Coke, you know? I mean,
well,
usually you can't find one.
The challenges of people becoming more and more unruly is I think that's in part of just the heightened anxiety that's in our society and at large, and so it just comes out on flights even more when your anxiety is peaked, and maybe the alcohol might have been a factor too. Who knows?
You can just about bet on that alcohol was a factor.
Yes, probably.
Still, number one, what a total loser. Number two, he might have chatted them up in pre-boarding and found out what their day jobs were before he completely freaking flew off the handle, moron.
And I checked on that because when Dieter mentioned that story, I thought, oh my gosh, how marvelous, just marvelous. And it was a husband and wife team. They were both police officers. That really even made it even better.
Yeah, I mean, God, what are the odds of literally sitting next to two police officers?
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Ron, were you able to find that?
Yeah, I found it. Now I just got to figure the
Excellent.
shortest way to get it onto the screen.
Okay, and Michelle said the CDC requires it for non-US citizen, non-immigrant passengers arriving from a foreign country to the United States by air. So I imagine that's the vaccination. And you're responding to that, Michelle. So thank you for letting us know. I did not know that's.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, just about there, Dieter.
Well, another big thing that's in the news is all the cancellations and the delays and bad weather. About a week ago was bad weather on the West Coast from Washington State through Oregon down through California. And of course, now the storms back east, and it's a good thing you're, yeah.
It seems, I don't know. I read even for Air Canada, like the staff calling in sick and them having to just figure out how to run their rotations and their schedules. Just logistically, it's really a challenge.
Yeah.
And I don't.
A bit of good news about all the weather is in the west. The snowpack is like almost 150% of what it has been in recent years, and so
the runoff will be great for the rest.
That's a real big deal for us out here before we turn into bacon.
Yeah. Okay. So there is what I put up before. So you can expect something that will look something like that with questionnaire on it. And what that is, and maybe I should clarify, because this is for people who are interested in it. This is not where you put your money or pay your money or anything like that. This is something that we gather as a preliminary bit of interest planning for the class. So my goal was to have it out this week. Obviously, we didn't make that, but we will have it out next week. I'll commit to that. Dieter and I are going to talk about it tomorrow morning, probably. And so we will try to get that out to you. I'll probably do a mass broadcast email to everybody on the list. And so watch for something that in the email and maybe I'll just copy this slide here and we'll put that in the email so that you'll all recognize it. And so this is where you can declare your interest in the 201. And if something comes up and you end up not enrolling in the class, that's okay. We just want to get an idea and give you some information as to what you can expect on that if you've not taken the class before. And remind you that even the people who took the previous new versions of the 201 class and the 301 class, you can attend the 201 class for free for the 2 times after you take it. And so we'll have, that will add to the group. It adds to the dynamics, it adds to the energy, and it's something that's really working out really well. And it really is, it goes to our philosophy that overcoming fear of flying or any anxiety disorder is a process. It's not a one-time deal, although, that doesn't preclude people from having significant breakthroughs and recovering rather rapidly. But for the average fearful flyer, it's, the first flight you get on after you've done some things to develop some coping skills and strategies, you're going to experience anxiety. And in fact, it's impossible for you to get over your anxiety unless you are triggered somewhat. And that's not something that fearful flyers really enjoy hearing about, because everybody wants to think that, if I do this work, then I'm going to get on and I'm not going to be bothered by it. And that's rarely the case. But the thing that you will be surprised at, or most people are, is that you get relief really rapidly in the flight. It's usually not more than 5 minutes into the flight that people start realizing, because we've helped you change the way you manage where your attention goes. And it's all based in something called mindfulness, and mindfulness is nothing more than putting your attention or paying attention to where your attention is. And whereas prior to doing some kind of intervention for yourself, what happens is your attention goes wherever your fear takes it, and it gets stuck there, and you ruminate, and you can't break it. And that's the biggest contribution that I think we make at Fearless Flight, is teaching people how to stop the obsessive thought loops that you get stuck in, and it just keeps activating your anxiety and your fear and your panic and all that. So anyway, so that's what we've got to look forward to coming up. I'll go forward here on the other slides there. We wanted to talk about the delays. We've touched on it a little bit there, and had there have been both, of course, delays in the air with, like Diane said, last week on the West Coast and the East Coast, and then this week again on the East Coast. It's played havoc with the system. And I don't know, last week I think we had about 3,000 cancellations. I think there's at least that many in this latest go around there, quite a few of them. But there's also been delays on the ground, and we at Fearless Flight, we kind of like to make fun of the non-flying world. And that slide is kind of dark, but you can see this is the Interstate 95. I believe it's just south of Washington, D.C. and Virginia. And last night, at about 5 o'clock, the weather got so bad that traffic stopped, and it didn't go anywhere until well into almost 24 hours later today. I was listening to a couple of the news shows talk about this. And you can see this is the southbound lane. This was sometime after daylight today. But the northbound lane they got that opened. At least they could run emergency vehicles up and down. And they were I saw some emergency vehicles there with their flashers on, and they were just stopping periodically looking for people who were in distress over there, because people didn't move for 24 hours for the most part. And you can see here, it's a parking lot, literally. And so we were kind of, I don't know what the term would be, being cynical, I suppose, at the very least, saying that I'll bet you none of those people got a email or a text from the Highway Transportation Department in Virginia or any of those states there, saying that, hey, by the way, you might want to reconsider, driving today. And so, kudos, at least when you're flying on an airplane, for the most part now, the airlines have gotten their stuff together, and so out of all this adversity with COVID, with the crew scheduling problems and all the changes that they've had to go through, now you get those delays on the ground, even for weather. And we've talked about that in the recent months, about how we've had a couple of our followers actually fly and get the alert. And we've had to caution them not to panic when Delta sends you an alert that says, hey, there's a storm going on or forecast for the Northeast corridor tomorrow or during your upcoming travels. So you might want to consider rescheduling or taking a look at your flight, particularly if it's time sensitive and you could get diverted to somewhere else. And so don't panic. That doesn't mean that the airlines have lowered their standards or they feel at greater risk when the weather is bad like that. What they're doing is they're helping you and helping themselves keep the demand on the system down, so you don't end up spending the night at an airport somewhere and running out of vending machine candy and whatever to eat. So anyway, so this was just a great opportunity to point out why aviation is not only so popular, but growing in popularity because of the fact that if it goes as scheduled, you get there much sooner than you do. So I'll throw it back out to you all out there. What's on your mind? We'd like to know. I know that I'm getting inquiries from people talking about claustrophobia, talking about anticipatory anxiety. What's on your mind? Are you traveling? This is a time when a lot of the recreational traffic and vacation traffic slows down a little bit, but the business traffic goes up. So this is the time of the year where I get people that in business say, you know what, this is my year to get over this. I think I mentioned it, but I had one client about 2 months ago that put 46,000 miles. He's a salesman. He put 46,000 miles on his car in 1 year just because he could not fly or wasn't comfortable flying. So,
Ron, do
yeah.
you still have that picture of me on the way back from Ontario demonstrating to the charges the proper way to fly?
All right, you talk amongst yourself. I will see if I can find that.
And they can, I'm so proud of that. And this can be you. And my two charges were doing the same thing. And Ron's.
Yeah, well, we've got one of Victor. I got one of Victor following your lead. So your leadership skills panned out.
Ron was accusing me of sleeping on the job, and I'm trying to point out the proper technique to.
That was on assignment, actually.
My people were assimilating this quite well. I don't know if Ron was telling them horror stories or what the deal was, and his guys were still wide awake.
and with the pressure, I'll probably not be able to find that. But remind me next week. I will definitely find that, because we can recruit with that and say this can be you on your next flight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Next to him.
Oh.
Well,
Okay.
I'm giving you an excuse to put that up because I know you're dying to do it.
Oh man, no kidding. All right, you guys got to entertain here while I look through
our man Jim Duke, who catches us making mistakes all the time. Well, not that often. I mean, if we make one, he catches us, but we never catch him. Says, I'm assuming he's talking about a U.S. senator. He said one of the Virginia senators leaving Washington was stuck in that too. So
that in the news.
They didn't get any. They didn't get any top secret information either, or he didn't get the briefing. And his urge to get out of town. That was not funny. Those poor people run out of gas, hungry at a minimum. As we were talking about earlier, how long can you keep heat in a car, and
right?
How long can the car idle with the remaining fuel? And you start doing a whole lot of weird range problems that you don't normally do.
Right. It also reminded me of I forgot the name, but one of our students from a 201 class that literally made her entire family ride on the Greyhound from Southern California all the way to New York City. And was just, my heart just, I remember it was at an Air Hollywood class, and my heart just went, God, I mean, what an experience, and not just her, but there was her kids and everybody as well. So
sure, to bring them through that. Oh yeah.
And so I remember as part of the graduation, so to speak, there was a big, just a big cry, big hug, because I think, of course, she knew that she was sorry for putting them through that, but she just couldn't see herself fly.
Yeah.
And when she did, you know, like literally all that trauma and everything, it just, oh, there's the picture.
Oh,
And Victor's right behind my right shoulder.
yeah, I'll get Victor. We just want to get, Victor's right. We got him on camera too. I was sitting behind Eric, and I knew he was going into his full-fledged research mode there and leadership mode. So I reached up in front of him with both hands, and you can see I got my right hand over the camera itself. But anyway, yeah, and so and then
we're all kind of chuckling about it.
yeah, let me see if I can get the other one. And we have a close up of Victor here.
One row behind me, one over. He didn't.
Yeah, there's Victor. Yeah, and so we're not doing that to shame anybody. We're doing that to show that what we have to offer works. So come and get it. And
on your next
I don't know if we can guarantee that yet, but we can pretty much guarantee that Eric will do research on one of the things. Yeah. So anyway, all right. Hearing no more motions from the floor. Do we have anybody that's we got happy campers? So you all are on alert. We are going to do this more. You are going to teach do this show. You are the subject, and you are our number one beneficiaries. And so we want to have you more engaged in here. And we're going to be, as we climb over the number 900 now, we want to get more and more people participating. And because frankly, we're getting a little bored with our own stuff, you know, and it's a lot easier to talk and deal with the real issues out there. We try to bring them forward, you know, what shows up in there, but it's really a lot more fulfilling and a lot more, I think, engaging to have you all participate live. And I know we got to get you over the whole thing, you know. I mean, come on, you don't have to go live on the air. All you got to do is put a comment in there, and we promise not to embarrass you too much. So anyway, all right.
And yes, that's right, Jim. Everyone come with a question next week.
Yeah. And
if it's a question that can stump Captain Eric or
yeah.
I won't be that
we'll
tough.
think of some reward.
and we don't care whether, you know, I'm used to answering the same question 50,000 times. So, you know, it's not that it's, you know, it's new to you. That's why we want to appeal to you to take an active role in your own overcoming your fear. So anyway, so thanks to the crew here, to Dieter and Diane and Eric. And we're going to close this one out as our first one in our 6th year. And we'll be back next week with Fearless Flight Live. So thanks a lot and have a great week, everybody.
We resent any accusations that this is an excuse for us to show up unprepared. We're actually wondering what you are wondering about.
Yeah. All right. So everybody,
All right.
we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.